Hi folks, it's Peter Gourri here of Peter Gourri Coaching and Consulting. I'm a qualified International Coaching Federation executive and life coach, and this is the second in my videos where I talk about workplace issues and ways to overcome them. And I already mentioned in a video I posted the other day about the areas which I want to try and cover through these videos, namely poor communication, leadership, micromanagement, unreasonable workload, lack of work-life balance, unclear expectations and goals, toxic leadership, favoritism and nepotism, bullying and harassment, effective teams and individuals. So today's video is about leadership in the workplace. And it's a really hard one for me because at the age of 13, I was a cadet. In the States, it would be JROTC. And I've been learning, leadership skills since a young age. And that's involved various different places, both in terms of as a cadet and in the reserves, Royal Air Force Cranwell, where I was trained to be an officer with the Royal Air Force Volunteer Reserve Training Branch, as well as my experience as a lawyer, as well as experience in the corporate world. All of those backgrounds have taught me different ways of doing things and different approaches to adopt. But I'm going to just try and give you kind of some basic ideas here. But I do stress, please bear in mind that everybody has their own ideas on leadership and none of those are wrong. Well, some of them might be wrong, but on the general rule, leadership skills are wide and varied is the point I'm trying to make. So leadership is a process of guiding and influencing individuals or groups towards achieving common goals. It's pretty obvious. But the art of leadership is actually getting everybody enrolled in that. Effective leadership involves a combination of communication, decision-making, and interpersonal skills. But here's some points just to help you along. And as I say, these are areas that I actually work with people. In fact, a lot of my work these days is about effective leadership with people where they don't necessarily get the proper support or the proper training. And so they come to me and I give it to them both as individuals and as groups. Number one, vision and direction. Leaders should always have a clear vision of where they want to take their team or organization. This vision provides direction and inspires others to work towards common goals. By being authentic about it, people want to be with you. They want to understand. I was once told by an army officer, I asked him for some details of somebody because I wanted to deconflict on a military training area before I went along. And this officer, who will remain nameless, although I'm desperate to name him, said, "You don't need their details. They do what they're told." And I said, "Well, with all due respect, Major, I'd actually quite like to speak to them as a matter of courtesy." And he told me at the time, "Lieutenant Gourri, in the Army, we tell people to do things and they do it. In the Air Force, you ask people to do things and explain why. You do it your way, I'll do it my way." And I guess that's the point, really. That's always been my approach. I ask people to do things, but I explain why in order to engage and enroll them into my vision. Number two, communication skills. As a leader, effective communication is essential for conveying the vision, the goals, the expectations to your team members. And this is every level, from the top right the way down to the bottom. No matter who you are, being an effective leader requires good communication. It involves listening. It involves articulating your ideas clearly. Think about your message and what you want to say and how you want to say it. Providing feedback and fostering open dialogue. One of the biggest issues I have, I've mentioned this before actually, is communication tends to be to the biggest breakdowns of work. It really doesn't have to. Decision making. As the leader, you listen to everybody's ideas, but ultimately you're making the decision. Don't get into a situation where everybody is basically making the decisions. You have to do it. Decisive decision making is what leaders are responsible for making, and that has a direct impact on your teams, your organization. This requires gathering the information from all sources, analyzing the alternatives, potentially with other people as well, considering the risks, again, with others and expert advice if need be, and making timely and informed choices and decisions as the leader. That's an important one, and I'll talk about that another time more individually. So I think it's a subject, frankly, that could have its own very long video, but I'm going to try and keep these to under 10 minutes. Empowerment. Empowering team members involves delegating tasks and not micromanaging, providing autonomy, trusting your employees or your team members to make decisions within their areas of responsibility. It fosters a great sense of ownership and motivation amongst those team members and employees. Give them some rope. Yeah, they're going to make mistakes, okay? People make mistakes. That's the reality of it. So let them make that mistake, but also give them the opportunity to make good. Because if you don't do that, they're never going to learn. You can't just mollycoddle, wrap them up in cotton wool and make all the choices and the decisions, the actions for them. That's not the real world. Motivation, really important one. Leaders motivate and inspire their team members to perform at their best. This can involve recognizing and rewarding achievements, providing encouragement, and fostering a positive work environment. I worked in law firms and corporate backgrounds where you sometimes kind of wondered what the object of the exercise was. It was almost as if they were determined to have a toxic environment which was negative and people did succeed. Excuse me. That doesn't help anybody. It definitely doesn't help the business or the tasking. Leading by example. Leaders set the tone for the organization through their actions and their behaviors. They should demonstrate integrity. They must have accountability and professionalism at all times. Serve as the role models for your team members. Be the person that stands out. Don't be afraid to admit you've made a mistake. A good leader should never be afraid to be authentic, okay? It isn't a sign of weakness. Don't get stuck in a rut. Actually make a point of recognizing and explaining, okay, this didn't work, so we're going to deal with it in a different way. Adaptability, very important. Effective leaders are adaptable and are able to navigate change and uncertainty. They remain flexible in their approach, adjust strategies as needed, and inspire confidence during challenging times. The point is that no plan should ever be so fixed that it can't be changed. Always make sure that you can adapt accordingly. Take a step back, review the situation as well as your original plan, and amend accordingly, reviewing your plans moving forward. Your team will have far more respect for you, but more importantly, your mission will succeed as a consequence of being that versatile individual who isn't afraid to revise their plans. Conflict resolution. Wow, when I think about some of the conflicts I've come up against within teams, I was president of a networking group up in New York, and I was horrified at the conflicts that were going on there. Nothing to do with me, just, people just seemed to be in conflict with each other. And I had to work hard to try and resolve some of those. It doesn't always work either. Leaders have to be skilled at resolving conflicts, addressing disagreements with the team. You need to nip that stuff in the bud quickly as well, because it can fester into a cancer. And this involves listening to all perspectives, finding common ground, and facilitating constructive dialogue to reach resolutions. Sometimes it involves actually being a leader and saying, I want to reflect to you that actually that's not the position at all and you're wrong in this. Doesn't mean being aggressive about it. It means enrolling and engaging people into an understanding. You need to remember that for some people, accepting that they're wrong is the biggest issue for them and they just can't do it. That doesn't help anybody. Continuous learning. I'm now 54 years old, okay? I've never stopped learning, and I've never stopped admitting when I've made mistakes. A leader is on a journey of continuous learning and self-improvement. Leaders seek back, reflect on their own experiences, and actively pursue opportunities for growth and development. I love learning, actually. I find it really interesting like watching and observing people, and I'm in the perfect job for that. But also, I love to learn about new processes and different ways of doing things, which may not necessarily agree with me, but actually it doesn't mean it's wrong. And sometimes it's good to take a leap of faith and learn something new. Building relationships. Strong leadership requires positive relationships with your team members, stakeholders, external partners. And this includes fostering trust, collaboration, and mutual respect. Be authentic with people. One of the things that I've always prided myself on is that people know that when they're dealing with me, they meet my authentic self and they know that they're in a good position. They know that they can speak to me honestly and I will speak with them honestly. Those relationships are important. So I hope that helps. Effective leadership, it's important. It's not about having all the answers either. It's about guiding and empowering others to contribute their skills and their talents towards achieving common objectives. It requires a combination of self-awareness and empathy, resilience, and a commitment to serving the greater good of the team and the organization. And remember, within that, you've got your little task in the middle, okay? And your objective is individual, team, organization. And all of them work together. Sorry, I've just said that twice, but you get the general gist of what I'm saying. As always, I love to hear from you. I'd especially like it if you'd like to speak to me. You can book a meeting through my website or through here. Let me know. If I can help you, I'd be delighted. It's Peter Gourri. Thank you.